guys, France have just beaten Morocco in the World Cup semi-final by 2 goals to 0, and I think it was quite an enjoyable game. I think the early goal for France, in some ways, it actually made it a better game. I was thinking at the time, this might absolutely ruin the game now, because I thought Morocco, they might just sit back and try and get one the last 10 minutes of the game. But yeah, they France, they got the early goal through Theo Hernandez. It was, a well taken finish from Hernandez, and it was actually an uncharacteristic bit of poor defending from Morocco. Maybe not poor defending, but just like lack of alertness. The Moroccan defender, I'm already forgetting his name, El Yamik, that was it. Came out and slipped over as it was Griezmann who went round him. A shot got taken, and fell to Hernandez, and it was a really good finish, to be fair to him. I thought the defender on the line could have possibly positioned himself a bit better, because where the shot was taken from, he was standing directly behind Bono in goal, so could have been better positioned on the line to cover the bit that Bono hasn't managed to cover. But yeah, from then on, until about 10 minutes to go until half time, it was quite an even game. Both teams just having possession. There weren't bucket loads of chances, to be completely honest. It was just Morocco trying to not concede anymore, and just try and keep the pressure and stop any sort of overload from France on the attack. And they had their problems, Morocco, with injuries. That everyone knew this going into the game, and I think some of their defenders' hamstrings must have just been sellotaped together, because Saiss had to go off in the first half and Mazraoui went off at half time. So yeah, it just, and even Naya Fagad. So it was the three who had been injured previously in the tournament who all had to go off by half time. Again, didn't even make it onto the pitch for the start of the game. It was that bad. It was a similar situation to Bono in one of the group stage games. I think it might have been the Belgium game. But it was tough for them. They were never expected to win given the circumstances in this game, but they gave it a good go. Start of that second half, that they were on top, and it was the most dominated part of the game. The first, I would say, 25-30 minutes of that second half was a complete domination from Morocco. And you could argue that in the first half they were slightly unfortunate not to have penalty of their own. I thought there was some poor refereeing again in this game. I thought the standard of refereeing in this tournament was quite good, but the further the tournament's got on, it's significantly declined. And in this game, I don't think it was much different. I thought they were very unlucky not to get a penalty. God knows how Boufal got booked for it. Theo Hernandez gets the ball, but then kicks the ball away and then completely follows through on Boufal unnecessarily. But Boufal's challenged at the same time, and somehow the referees come to the conclusion that Boufal should be booked for it, which was a bizarre decision. But yeah, from the second half time onwards, it was just domination from Morocco for a good 25-30 minutes. And that they didn't create loads of clear-cut chances, but they were putting a lot of pressure on. And it was a very smart substitution from Didier Deschamps, the France manager, that actually changed the game, stopped France from being, constantly pressured by Morocco. It was bringing Giroud off, who didn't have a bad game, but pushing Mbappe more central, and bringing on Marcus Thuram out wide, who tracks back a lot better than Mbappe does. So it sort of limited Hakimi, or if it didn't limit him, it definitely gave him, less time on the ball when he is getting forward. So as well as worrying about the pace of Marcus Thuram, because that's the one thing you don't get from Giroud. So they now had all three sort of of their quick players on the attack. So I think that made Morocco become a little bit more conservative than they had been at the start of the second half, and their chance came about about halfway through the second half, it was a substitute who it fell to, and he just, if he'd have taken the shot off, you never know what's going to happen. You've got to take the shot when you get the opportunity just inside the box, and he bottled it. Let's be honest, which was really disappointing, because had he had taken the shot and it had gone in 1-1, it's an even game then, because when Morocco aren't having to push forwards, they can usually defend quite well. I know at the start of this game that they didn't give the best demonstration of that, but anyone can make a mistake at the start of a football match. So yeah, it wasn't like they were defending horrendously. It was just one single moment. So yeah, it would have been an even game had they managed to equalise, but France made another substitute, bringing on Kolo Muani off the bench. I think it was for Dembele, and he managed to get a goal with about 10 minutes to go and put the game to bed. There were some brilliant performances in this game though. A couple that I'd like to highlight were in France's midfield. Chouameni was brilliant, especially in the first half. Griezmann as well throughout the game, whether it be on the attack, playing some really good through balls to the France attacking players like Mbappe and Dembele, and also Giroud. But also in the second half, the amount of times he was managing to stop crosses or intercept passes from Morocco when they were getting forwards was also brilliant. So that showed a completely different side to Griezmann's game that we probably haven't really seen before, mainly because this is the deepest position he's really played in his career. So he's really proved himself so far this tournament, Griezmann, to be a lot more than what I thought he was. I thought that after that move to Barcelona, and he didn't do horrendously at Barcelona like a lot of people like to believe he did. It just wasn't £120 million worth. If he'd signed for them for, I don't know, 25 million, you'd say it was an okay signing. He did a job for them. It was just Barcelona's just stupid money spending spree, which, where they bought a player who wasn't like having the rest of his career ahead of him. Like, I think he was 28 at the time they signed him. He's now 30, 31, I think. So yeah, you were never going to get the player that did so well for Atletico Madrid when he was very much a system player at Atletico Madrid. And in this, and especially when you're playing him out of position as well at Barcelona, because you've got to accommodate Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez as well. So he was Dembele. He was just pushed way out of position at times. And yeah, since he's gone back to Atleti, from my understanding, I haven't watched loads of Atleti, but he's been one of their better players so far this season, despite the fact they're having a poor season. But this tournament, he's been amazing. And for Morocco, I thought Amrabat didn't have his greatest game tonight. He wasn't bad, but Unahi in midfield, superb, and he's had a great tournament. I think for this tournament, you get players who are, unknown before the tournament, and then a month later they do brilliant. And I'm talking like completely unknown. No English football fan really knew about Unahi before the tournament, and now everyone thinks he's really good. I think he takes that crown for this tournament, definitely. I think there's been a few other players who've sort of been like that, but I think most other players who've been like this, Enzo Fernandez, I think you could argue about, Mohamed Kudus in the group stage, I think they sort of were known before this tournament, so it doesn't really count as much. But yeah, Morocco, they've done fantastic this tournament. First ever African team to make the last four, which is an incredible achievement. If they'd reached the final, this would have been one of football's all-time great stories. In many ways, it still is. It will be remembered, obviously. But if they had reached the final, that would have just been something else. To be completely honest, and Jesus, if you reach the final, anything can happen, can't it? So if they'd won the competition, and I know they were 2 steps away from that, but it still would have been incredible, wouldn't it? But yeah. Brilliant tournament for Morocco, and this has set up a really interesting final between France and Argentina. France, I'm sure will be the favourites going into it. But everyone said at the start of the tournament Lionel Messi was finished. He's shot them up very quickly with the performances he's put in the last 5 games. Even in the game against Saudi Arabia, I didn't think he was that bad. I thought he played quite well, especially in the first half. So yeah, he's had a brilliant tournament. And if Julian Alvarez can tuck away a chance like he's done in the past few games, who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.